Commando, 1985, was an adrenaline-fueled action classic that helped define the genre, featuring intense fight sequences, iconic one-liners, and a powerhouse performance from Arnold Schwarzenegger. The film became a fan favorite and remains one of the most beloved action movies of the 80s. But now, 40 years later, what has happened to the cast who brought this explosive story to life? Some have continued their Hollywood careers, while others have taken different paths, and sadly, some are no longer with us. In this video, we take a deep dive into their lives, careers, and where they are in 2025. James Olson portrayed Major General Franklin Kirby in Commando in 1985 at the age of 55, embodying a disciplined, high-ranking officer who aids Matrix but remains bound by bureaucratic constraints. His character is strategic and authoritative, yet his rigid sense of duty suggests a man who has sacrificed much for his career. Olson found moderate success in Hollywood, earning praise for The Andromeda Strain, 1971, yet he never became a household name. As time passed, the roles diminished, and he faded into obscurity. His personal life was marked by loneliness, his brief marriage ended in divorce, and he never remarried or had children, leaving him without a family to turn to in his final years. As his health declined, he withdrew from public life, spending his later years in quiet isolation, battling age-related ailments. He passed away on April 17, 2022, at the age of 91 due to natural causes, largely forgotten by the industry he had once served. Bill Paxton took on the role of the intercept officer in Commando in 1985 at the age of 30, playing a brief but tense role that added urgency to the pursuit of Matrix. Unlike many of his co-stars, Paxton found immense success, starring in classics like Aliens, 1986, Twister, 1996, and Titanic, 1997, becoming one of Hollywood's most beloved character actors. However, his success came at a cost. His relentless drive left little room for personal peace. His marriage to Louise Newberry endured, but it was tested by his demanding career, with long absences creating distance between him and his two children. As he aged, health problems emerged, culminating in heart surgery that was supposed to extend his life. Instead, complications led to a fatal stroke, an unexpected and tragic end for a man who had given so much to cinema. He passed away on February 25, 2017, at the age of 61, leaving behind a grieving family and an unfinished career that still had so much potential. Matt Landers played Fred in Commando in 1985 at the age of 33, delivering a minor but memorable performance. His character was loyal and supportive, much like the roles he often played throughout his career. Landers worked steadily in Hollywood, appearing in films like Die Hard, 1988, and 48 Hours, 1982, but always in the background, never achieving stardom. His personal life mirrored his professional struggles. His first marriage ended in divorce after years of financial stress, and his second, though longer lasting, was filled with unhappiness. He had two children, but his deteriorating health and growing bitterness distanced him from them. In his later years, he fought a losing battle with cancer, enduring painful treatments that left him physically and emotionally drained. As his illness progressed, he became increasingly reclusive, shutting himself off from friends and colleagues. He passed away on March 12, 2015, at the age of 62 after a long, agonizing fight, leaving behind an overlooked legacy in Hollywood. Nick Dimitri portrayed the guerrilla guarding plane in Commando in 1985 at the age of 53, a small role in a career dominated by stunt work. As one of Hollywood's most respected stuntmen, he spent decades being beaten, shot, and thrown through windows for the sake of action movies. Yet, his sacrifices were never fully acknowledged, and he remained in the shadows while leading men took the glory. His personal life was equally lonely. His marriage ended in divorce, and without children, he spent his final decades in solitude. The years of physical punishment left him in constant pain, his body breaking down while medical expenses drained his savings. With Hollywood moving on from practical stunt work, he found himself irrelevant, struggling financially and physically. He passed away on October 20, 2021, at the age of 88, his body ravaged by the very industry he had dedicated his life to, his name barely remembered outside the stunt community. Arnold Schwarzenegger starred as John Matrix in Commando in 1985 at the age of 38, delivering a legendary performance that cemented his place as an action icon. Off-screen, his life was far more complicated. His marriage to Maria Shriver crumbled after the revelation of his long-hidden affair and secret child with his housekeeper, leading to public disgrace and deep fractures within his family. Though he has 5 children, his relationships with them were strained for years, as they struggled to reconcile his public persona with his private failings. As he aged, his once godlike physique deteriorated, requiring multiple surgeries to repair years of abuse. Though he remains active in politics and entertainment, time has taken its toll, and he can no longer command the same presence he once did. As of 2025, at the age of 77, he remains a living legend, but his glory days are long behind him, leaving him to reflect on a career and personal life filled with triumphs, betrayals, and regrets. Dan Hedaya portrayed Arius in Commando in 1985 at age 45, embodying the film's ruthless and power-obsessed dictator with chilling conviction. Arius is calculating, cruel, and unrelenting, a perfect foil to Matrix's raw strength. Hedaya's career flourished in the 1990s with memorable roles in The Usual Suspects, 1995, and Clueless, 1995, but he remained typecast as a gruff, corrupt authority figure. Despite a steady career, his personal life was filled with regret. His bitter divorce in the late 1980s left him estranged from his only child, and he struggled with depression in his later years. As age took its toll, he developed Parkinson's disease, forcing him into early retirement. By 2020, he had largely disappeared from public life, spending his final years in declining health. Now 84 in 2025, he lives a quiet, reclusive life, relying on caregivers as his condition worsens, his once commanding presence now a distant memory of Hollywood's past. Rae Dawn Chong played Cindy in Commando in 1985 at age 24, portraying a sharp-witted, resourceful flight attendant who gets unwillingly entangled in Matrix's deadly mission. Cindy is clever, resilient, and provides the film with much-needed moments of levity and warmth. Chong's career seemed poised for greatness after The Color Purple, 1985, but Hollywood proved unkind. By the early 1990s, she was relegated to minor TV roles and direct-to-video films, struggling to reclaim her earlier success. Her personal life was equally turbulent: 3 failed marriages, including a brief, ill-fated union with actor C. Thomas Howell, left her disillusioned with love. She never had children, a sorrow she admitted deep in her loneliness. Financial troubles forced her to sell her home in 2018, and in 2020, she was diagnosed with severe arthritis, limiting her ability to work. Now 64 in 2025, she makes occasional appearances at fan conventions, living in quiet obscurity, haunted by what could have been. Vernon Wells played Bennett in Commando in 1985 at age 40, delivering one of the film's most unhinged and memorable villains, a sadistic mercenary obsessed with proving his superiority over Matrix. Bennett is cruel, volatile, and disturbingly eager for a showdown, making him one of action cinema's most iconic villains. Wells capitalized on the role, becoming a fixture in B-movies and low-budget action films, but his Hollywood aspirations remained unfulfilled. His personal life was marred by instability, his marriage crumbled due to his obsessive commitment to his career, and his estranged son cut off contact in his early 20s. Financial mismanagement left him bankrupt by 2015, forcing him into desperate roles in fan convention circuits just to stay afloat. In 2022, a severe diabetes-related infection resulted in the amputation of part of his foot. Now 79 in 2025, he resides in an assisted living facility, reflecting on a life that never quite lived up to his ambitions. Alyssa Milano played Jenny in Commando in 1985 at age 13, portraying Matrix's kidnapped daughter, whose bond with her father serves as the film's emotional anchor. Jenny is brave, innocent, and fiercely devoted to her father, making her abduction the driving force of the plot. Milano transitioned into teenage stardom with Who's the Boss, but faced the struggles of child actors trying to navigate adulthood. A string of failed marriages left her in bitter custody battles over her 2 children, and her foray into business ventures, including a failed fashion line, resulted in financial setbacks. In later years, her outspoken activism alienated parts of Hollywood, leaving her career in decline. By 2023, she was embroiled in legal battles over unpaid debts and was forced to sell multiple properties to stay afloat. Now 52 in 2025, she lives a reclusive life, her once glamorous career overshadowed by controversy, financial struggles, and personal regrets. David Patrick Kelly portrayed Sully in Commando in 1985 at age 34, playing the sleazy, overconfident henchman whose arrogance leads to his brutal downfall. Sully is a manipulative, opportunistic coward, providing dark humor amid the film's relentless action. Kelly enjoyed a cult following thanks to roles in The Warriors, 1979, The Crow, 1994, and Twin Peaks, but never achieved mainstream recognition. His personal life was chaotic. His short-lived marriage ended in the mid-1990s, and he spiraled into alcoholism, which led to multiple stints in rehab. Though he eventually got sober, a severe stroke in 2023 left him partially paralyzed, robbing him of the ability to act. Now 74 in 2025, he resides in a care facility, his once electric screen presence reduced to memories as he struggles with declining health and the loneliness of a career that never brought lasting success. Bill Duke played Cook in Commando in 1985 at the age of 42, portraying a ruthless, no-nonsense mercenary with a sadistic edge. Cook's cold efficiency and brutal combat skills made him a formidable antagonist, embodying the film's relentless action. Duke's career initially flourished with roles in Predator, 1987, and directing credits, but Hollywood's reluctance to cast black actors in diverse roles left him typecast. His personal life was equally turbulent. His marriage to an aspiring actress ended in a bitter divorce, and his daughter, raised primarily by her mother, grew distant over time. The loneliness pushed Duke into long periods of depression, made worse by health issues including diabetes and heart disease. His declining mobility forced him into an early retirement, leaving him to watch younger actors claim the roles he had once dreamed of. Now, in 2025, at 82, he lives a quiet, reclusive life, rarely seen in public. Bob Miner played Jackson in Commando in 1985 at the age of 41, bringing his extensive stunt experience to the action-packed role. A respected stuntman and actor, Miner contributed to numerous classic films but never received the recognition he deserved. Decades of performing high-risk stunts took a devastating toll on his body, leaving him with multiple injuries, chronic pain, and an ever-growing dependency on medication. His personal life suffered as well. Long filming schedules kept him away from home, and his wife, feeling abandoned, eventually filed for divorce. His relationship with his 2 children became strained, as they resented his absence during their childhood. As his body weakened, so did his career, forcing him into financial instability. With Hollywood moving on and medical bills piling up, he spiraled into depression, occasionally taking small roles just to make ends meet. In 2025, at 81, he lives alone, battling the pain of his past both physically and emotionally. Michael Delano portrayed Forrestal in Commando in 1985 at the age of 45, playing a minor but authoritative military figure. Though professional and composed in the film, his real-life career was a series of disappointments. Originally a nightclub singer, he transitioned to acting with high hopes but remained stuck in small roles, never achieving leading man status. His frustration led to a bitter resentment toward Hollywood, and as the years passed, his opportunities dwindled. His personal life was equally rocky. His first wife left after only 3 years, citing his unpredictable temper and gambling addiction. His second marriage lasted longer but was marked by frequent separations, and his 2 children eventually distanced themselves from him. A series of bad business investments left him bankrupt, forcing him to sell his home and move into a small apartment. By 2025, at 85, he lives in near anonymity, struggling with chronic health issues. Gary Carlos Cervantes played Diaz in Commando in 1985 at the age of 32, portraying a fierce and loyal guerrilla fighter. His performance added intensity to the film, but like many Latino actors of his era, he found himself limited to stereotypical roles: criminals, gangsters, and villains. Though he built a steady career, he longed for more meaningful parts that never came. The frustration carried into his personal life, where he struggled with anger and self-doubt. His first marriage collapsed after just a few years, with his wife citing his explosive temper and emotional detachment. He remarried, hoping for stability, but financial struggles and his inability to break free from typecasting created tension at home. His children, raised in an unstable household, eventually drifted away. Health problems emerged early. Years of onset injuries and stress led to heart issues. In 2025, at 72, he lives quietly, far from Hollywood, reflecting on a career that never gave him the artistic respect he once dreamed of. George Fisher played the mall security guard in Commando in 1985 at the age of 48, portraying a vigilant and determined officer whose attempt to stop John Matrix ended in brutal failure. His acting career never flourished beyond small, forgettable roles in action films and television series, leaving him trapped in a cycle of auditions that led nowhere. His personal life mirrored his professional struggles. His marriage to his high school sweetheart, Linda, crumbled under financial pressure, ending in a bitter divorce in the early 90s. Their only child, Daniel, grew resentful of Fisher's constant failures, eventually cutting ties and moving abroad. Fisher turned to alcohol to cope with his loneliness, leading to multiple arrests for public intoxication and disorderly conduct. Though he eventually entered rehab, his health suffered from years of alcohol abuse. Now, in 2025, at 88 years old, he lives in a small assisted living facility in Arizona. Chelsea Field played Vicky, the Western flight attendant in Commando in 1985 at the age of 28, a minor role in a film dominated by action. Though brief, her scene added realism to the movie's tense atmosphere. Field later found success in television and film, most notably in The Last Boy Scout, 1991, and Dust Devil, 1992. However, despite a seemingly successful career, she always struggled with being overlooked for major roles. Her marriage to actor Scott Bakula gave the illusion of stability, but the reality was different. Constant work schedules kept them apart, leading to emotional distance. As Hollywood's interest in her faded, she withdrew from the industry, focusing on family life, though never quite finding personal fulfillment. Health issues and a deep sense of regret over missed opportunities led her to isolate herself from former colleagues. Now, in 2025, at 68, she lives quietly, rarely appearing in public, her once bright career a distant memory. Ava Cadell played the girl in bed at the motel in Commando in 1985 at the age of 30, a fleeting yet memorable role that embodied the indulgence and recklessness of the film's era. Though her career in Hollywood initially showed promise, she was quickly typecast into roles that focused on her appearance rather than her talent, leading to deep frustration. Seeking stability, she married talent agent Robert Wilkes, but the relationship was marred by infidelity and emotional neglect. Their 2 children, Emily and Jason, were caught in the crossfire of a toxic divorce that left them estranged from both parents. Cadell struggled with depression, resorting to prescription medication to numb the pain of rejection, both in love and in Hollywood. She later attempted to transition into academia, lecturing on human sexuality, but the stigma of her past roles haunted her. As of 2025, she is 59 years old and living in seclusion, battling chronic health issues. Michael Robbins played the boy in bed at the motel in Commando in 1985 at the age of 26, a role that barely registered in the film but nonetheless defined his short-lived Hollywood career. Hoping for bigger opportunities, Robbins instead found himself trapped in the industry's cruel indifference, his name fading into obscurity. Struggling to maintain a sense of purpose, he married his longtime girlfriend, Sandra, but the union quickly collapsed under financial strain. With no children and no meaningful connections, he drifted between menial jobs, each one leaving him more bitter and resentful. He attempted to launch a business, investing his last savings into a failed nightclub that left him bankrupt. As his debts mounted, he turned to gambling, a decision that only deepened his descent into despair. By 2025, Robbins, now 65, is homeless, living in shelters and relying on charity, his once youthful ambitions long eroded by the brutal realities of failure. Danny Nero played the police officer in Commando in 1985 at the age of 33, portraying a professional and vigilant officer caught in the chaos of the unfolding action. Though his role was minor, his stern demeanor added realism to the film's high-stakes atmosphere. Nero's career never took off the way he had hoped. He found himself typecast in small, forgettable roles, security guards, detectives, background figures whose names never made it into the credits. His marriage to his high school sweetheart, Linda, disintegrated under the weight of his professional disappointments and financial instability. Their only son, Kevin, grew distant, embarrassed by his father's stagnating career and constant bitterness. In his later years, Nero found himself completely alone, surviving on a meager pension, spending his days watching old movies and wondering what went wrong. Now, in 2025, at 72 years old, he lives in a small, dimly lit apartment, his name long erased from Hollywood's memory. Branscombe Richmond played Vega in Commando in 1985 at the age of 30, portraying a fearsome and loyal enforcer whose brute strength was no match for John Matrix. A prolific stuntman and character actor, Richmond found steady work in Hollywood, but true recognition always eluded him. He married actress Lisa Hanley, and together they had 3 children, but the pressure of providing for a growing family while being relegated to minor roles took a heavy toll. He battled chronic back pain from years of performing dangerous stunts, leading to an addiction to painkillers that strained his marriage. Eventually, his wife left, taking their children and leaving Richmond alone in a large, empty house. The silence became unbearable, and he fell into reclusion, cutting off contact with friends and family. By 2025, at 70 years old, Richmond lives in near isolation in a small town in Hawaii, struggling with diabetes and severe arthritis. Thomas Rosales Jr. played the young gorilla in Commando in 1985 at the age of 37, bringing intensity to the role of a ruthless soldier whose commitment to his cause was short-lived in the face of Matrix's dominance. Rosales built a long career as a stuntman, appearing in countless action films, but his contributions were largely uncredited, his face familiar yet unrecognized. The wear and tear of his profession left him with multiple injuries, including a devastating spinal fracture in the early 2000s that ended his ability to work. With medical bills piling up and no steady income, his wife, Maria, left him, taking their 2 sons, Roberto and Miguel, with her. Alone and destitute, Rosales became reliant on disability checks, spending his days reminiscing about a Hollywood that never truly embraced him. In 2025, at 77 years old, he resides in a small, government-assisted apartment in Los Angeles, suffering from chronic pain and dementia. Tom Willet played the airport commuter in Commando in 1985 at the age of 47, a role so minor that most audiences never registered his presence. A lifelong background actor, Willet had spent his career as a nameless extra in countless films and television shows, blending into the scenery while others took the spotlight. The struggle for recognition wore on him, leaving him bitter and resentful. He married late in life, but his wife, Martha, grew tired of his constant complaints and walked out after 10 years, leaving him with nothing but a stack of old call sheets and a collection of films in which he barely appeared. With no children and few friends, Willet spent his later years in quiet obscurity, forgotten even by those he had worked alongside. Now, at 87 years old in 2025, he lives in a rundown assisted living facility, his dreams of stardom long dead, his only solace found in the flickering light of an old television screen playing movies he was once, if only briefly, a part of. Who is your favorite character from Commando? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.